Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey,
Can you hear me?
yeah, can you hear me?
You sure?
Great. All right, then that's not bad.
Now, the thing is, I'll send you a picture and then have a look at this.
Okay.
And then this is going to get you shocked. Yeah?
Okay.
We've heard these great things about the Roman Empire. Now, the Roman Empire was supposed to be in Europe, in Italy, starting from there. And they are supposed to have had the Latin language, and the Latin language spread to France, Spain, Romania, Italy, and from there we've got a modern Italian.
Okay, let's go back even 10 seconds before that, or two steps before that. You had just sent me a new book that you came out with, which was postulating, did Jesus live in Europe? Is that your newest piece that you've been doing, right? I think? Or
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, it's called The Last Crusade.
okay. So what's the deal with
Yeah,
that?
Yeah, it's part two of a book that's called Jesus Christ, Tartaria, Jesus Christ, and Tartaria, The Last Crusade.
Wow.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, let's get straight to the point so that then who will see this will know this is really serious stuff. Because the Roman Empire is like the heart of the history that we know. Yes, it goes back 2,000, 3,000 years. Now have a look at this and check this out. Yeah, I've just sent you Wikipedia and people can check it themselves. Around 1860 or 1850, only 2% of the people in Italy spoke Italian. Have you got hold of that?
I'm seeing this, and I can corroborate even just going to Italy, because in parts of northern Italy they still don't speak Italian; they speak German.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the thing is that many people, their grandparents are still alive. They can ask them, and their grandparents will say, "My grandparents didn't speak Italian at all." So now we've got a serious problem here. Yeah, because they're telling us that the Italian Bible was published in the 16th, 17th century. And for the next 300 years, people were reading the Bible in Italian.
So
nobody spoke.
Is it nobody who spoke, or who spoke Italian? Is it some small part of Italy?
The 2% who spoke it, I'll give you an example now, are the people who are in government and who went to the government schools. Like, for example, in America, you've got the CIA training schools. Yes?
Yeah.
So it's actually less than 2%. Have you got hold of the picture? So now we've got a problem now. What about the Bible in Italian? It's been around since the 16th, 17th century, and now nobody could read this. And now what's even worse, yeah, you can go throughout Europe, they're going to say the Renaissance started in Italy. Now, look at the picture I've just sent you. This is from a library called the Girolamo Library or Girolamo Library in Italy. And you can see thousands of books there. Yeah, in fact, they tell you that millions of books were printed throughout the Renaissance and after that in the next 2-3 centuries. Yes. So who were they printing these books for if nobody could speak Italian?
You've got this picture of Pius here. Is it suggesting that they created this language in the 1600s, or what's the idea?
Now, the thing is, before creating, I'm going to give you an example now. Okay. Imagine right now, I come to the United States and I'm printing, not now. Imagine if I tell everybody that I'm in England for the last few centuries, people spoke a language here called the Antarctic language. And then I say there was a Renaissance and millions of books were made in the Antarctic language and Bibles were written and the Vatican's over here and it's in the Antarctic language in England. And then you suddenly find out nobody could speak this language until the last 50, 100 years. Then it means that history is a lie. That's the problem we've got.
So it's interesting also because we studied recently Etruscan and found there's new neural net math programs that are trying to take apart the symbols and figure out for the first time in centuries what Etruscan really sounded like. And there's a suggestion it sounds like Latin backwards, and that Latin itself might be like a mirror.
What is Latin backwards? We'll go through that in a minute. Now that is very important. What is Latin backwards? Yes. The thing is, I went through many manuscripts of Latin backwards. Now, for example, they turn around and say that the output of the printing press was 20 million volumes and was going up in the 16th century to between 150 to 200 million copies. Renaissance printing. But now we've got, nobody speaks Italian. So we're talking about the Renaissance, 15th, 16th century here. So that's the first. Now let's dig a bit even deeper. Now I'm sending you more information. People can check this. In the year 1800, around the year 1800, only 10% of the people could speak French in France. Only 10%.
What do they speak in France?
Now the thing is, so when you ask them what did they speak, they're just going to give you a bogus history and saying they were speaking that, blah blah blah. So now the problem we've got is, what about these French books that they were printing? For example, there is the Olivetan Bible, not the Olivetan Bible, the French Bible. I'm not sure when it was first made, in the 15th or 14th century. Yeah, and things like that. Yeah, so we've got a problem. We've got nobody speaking French. They say 10%, yeah, but those 10% spoke it reasonably. Il dit 10%, comme ça, il parle français, mais c'est pas beaucoup, c'est un peu. So I know what is reasonable French. So so officially 10% of the people spoke it reasonably and 90% did speak it. They just knew a few basic words, and because the French language was related to some of the other local languages, but 50% of the people basically couldn't speak any French at all, blah blah blah. So we've got a problem. And they say maximum 15% spoke it, but they were like the state agents and people who were going to the church-controlled schools. So we've got these serious problems now. What about all these Renaissance, thousands and thousands of books that you're going to go to in Paris? You'll go to the museums and the National Library, Bibliothèque Nationale, or whatever they call it. So who are they printing these books for? Ghosts? And the amount of books they've got, are they all forgeries? We've got a problem now. If they didn't speak French in France, and French is a Latin language, and they didn't speak Italian in Italy, and that's a Latin language, the two main centers of the Roman Empire, then what about the Roman Empire?
So
what about the Latin language?
It's the 1600s. So we've got Chinese printing presses, and we have examples of other copies before the Gutenberg printing press. Are they
the Chinese printing press is a totally different story. Yeah, let's focus on let's go back to that question that you asked me about Latin backwards. What did you say?
Yeah, is it Etruscan? Because the Etruscan language, it looks like it's backwards.
So now the thing is, I will send you. Have you received the pictures that I've already sent?
Yeah.
Have you seen them? Yeah. So now I'll give you an example of what Latin looks like backwards. Yes. Now the thing is, I started having a look, and Latin backwards was even used in Argentina in the early 20th century and throughout Latin America and many places in Europe, until when people went to school. Do you know that most people didn't speak French, for example, or Italian until they went to school after the 20th century? Yes. So they didn't even speak it. So now I'll give you an example. You can compare this yourself of Latin backwards. I'll give you an example of a postcard that's from Latin America, yes, Latin America in the earliest 20th century. So they had to write normal Latin like we write English and French and Spanish today. They had to write that for the postal service, the official postal service in South America. Yes, but on the actual postcard itself, they wrote Latin backwards. Yeah, it's because that's how the normal people wrote it in Europe. Yes, until the people in power changed everything. And then when they changed everything, it changed. Let me just look for an example of postcards. This is just a normal postcard by a normal person. So it's not a manuscript that's written by the official churches or by people who are working for the state. Yeah. So when you have a look at this, if they actually saw how ordinary people were doing their writing.
Well, it's interesting that it connects so much to Leonardo da Vinci writing backwards, supposedly. They have this whole idea that he had secret notes because he was writing backwards. But if it's not backwards, and it's just the way the language was written and spoken before the Latinization, that's a very interesting idea.
Yes, before the Latinization. So now, what is this language that's before the Latinization? I know what the answer is, but if I say it, then nobody's going to believe me. Now, here, I'm going to send you an example of how we write today. Yes, and this is Latin forwards, how we write today. You should have received a copy of it. Just normal handwriting. Before these internet days came, people had to write their assignments, essays with their handwriting. Now let me look for Latin backwards.
It's a crazy time also because if Leonardo da Vinci is 1452 to 1519, supposedly, even, who's to say what's right, but that fits over this period that they're calling the 1492 and the end of the Cordoba Caliphate, the end of Arabic Spain, Italy's influences by...
Yeah, Arabic and Jewish Spain.
Right.
Yeah, many people forget when they say Arabic, yeah, the Jewish people there spoke are really looking for that letter because our handwritings from that example, from that time. That's China.
I've got down to the... So I was looking, and you've got Mental Floss talking about in 1790, a study showed that only 10% of the population of France spoke French. And this map was made in 1847, before French had become the whole language of France. The Oyi languages are outlined in pink, and so there's a number of different languages available that they're trying to point to. Basque regions, for instance. The Basque state is very interesting.
The Basque province, that's what you could say, that Catalonia, things like this, and it's in the north anyway. I really cannot believe this, because everybody in the world, how people were sending their own letters and everything before they went to the official schools. Because do you know what they say? A lot of these documents got burnt out in the wars, during the wars. This is actually shocking. This is somewhere from South America. I think it's being posted to Europe, or there's many things like this. And they turn around and say that most of the documents that were similar from the 18th, 19th century were destroyed during World Wars I and II, blah, blah, blah. Now, when you look at this postcard, you will notice that when they're writing the address, they're writing Latin forwards. Ooh. Now, when they're actually writing the letter, they're writing the letter Latin backwards. Now, when you write Latin backwards, guess what it is mysteriously? It looks exactly the same like Arabic. Most people don't know this. Now, the shocking thing is, unfortunately, many people won't want to hear it. It's because we've grown up in a society where we've been brought up so that we just can't stand anything to do with Arabs, Middle East, blah, blah, blah. But the thing, Latin backwards is basically Arabic.
Wow, that's so crazy. This is amazing. So, first off, it says postal card in Spanish, which I would have not remembered to think is tarjeta. So it's tar. And then it's amazing to see the style of cursive Latin, looking Roman English, but still the Latin language.
Yeah, you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, oh, it's an Arabic dialect, or it's called Ladino, blah, 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 or it's called this Sephardi or whatever. But everybody knows that was being used in Spain and Latin America.
I'm going to try to see if I can... I'm going to try to flip the image here on my side and see what it looks like.
It's simply Arabic. Yeah, I can guarantee that.
Wow.
Yes, I've had a look at the alphabet myself and other things. And just to confirm it, and what to make it even worse, what I couldn't believe, is this. Now, let me show you some more details, which is very scary. Yes? Now, this is going to totally scare you. Yes? The thing is, we're talking about, now let's speak about the Jewish people. 100, 200 years ago, they were called the children of Israel. The Jewish people, when somebody says the Jewish people, there was 12 tribes, which is known. So if somebody says European people, this means Russians. No, Europe's got Germans as well, French, Dutch people, English people, Italian, Greek. Yes, the children of Israel have got many tribes. Now have a look at this. I've just sent you this. Now, Spain, especially Spain, and most of the Jews in the world, more than 90% of the Jews, yes, until the 20th century, spoke Arabic all over the world. I've just given you an example.
Right.
Yeah. Have you received it?
I'm seeing
medieval Jews spoke Arabic. They were writing in Arabic. It was basically their language was Arabic.
I'm seeing the Muse, JHU, education, all these different educational sites, Smithsonian Associates.
Yeah, there's so many. I'll send you the New York Times. Then I'll send you more.
Well cited. Yes.
If people are not satisfied, here's from California, New York Times.
But hopefully also people could just know, because you look into Spain, Maimonides, in America with Maimonides University in New York, named after the Spanish Jewish philosopher and doctor who ran the Cordoba Caliphate in Spain.
Now we've got a problem, because if the Jewish people are speaking, Arabic,
the local language,
for at least 1,500 to 2,000 years, If Jesus Christ lived 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago, and he came for his brothers, what language were his brothers speaking?
So a lot of them were
Arabic.
speaking Arabic. There's also
No,
this.
90%, more than 90%, the majority.
But how different? So we make these subtle differences between Aramaic and Arabic. They try to say it's such a different thing.
Okay, before
right?
we go on to Aramaic, yeah, okay, I'll go through Aramaic now very quickly, then you will practically get the message.
Okay.
Yes, because people don't know what Aramaic is. When you turn around and say, you know what, if you turn around and say, what's his name? Who's that rap star? Snoop Doggy Dogg. What language does he speak? Someone's going to say it's called rap language. It's English. Simple as. It's a dialect. Texas. It's English. Simple as. New York, Brooklyn, the boys, how they speaking. It's English. So now what is Aramaic? Yeah, I've sent it you. This is from the Times of, and it's from JSTOR University websites, everything. And here it tells you during the Middle Ages. Yes, the Middle Ages started after the birth of Christ. Yes, 90% of the Jews spoke Arabic all over the world. Yes, and what is Aramaic? Aramaic is not even one language. It's 150 dialects, and not a single one of the Aramaic dialects, yes, sounds like any of the writing that's inside the Talmud, or even words that Jesus Christ spoke in any of the Gospels.
Interesting.
So that cancels Aramaic straight away.
So they're just trying to avoid. They're avoiding the elephant in the room, because clearly, if you think about it, we know that the Arabs were all over Europe. They were controlling their. It was the language that was spoken. We're seeing examples that the Jews in Spain were speaking Arabic. So the lingua franca in France and in Spain and in Italy. You're saying this was Arabic. And that makes perfect sense. That's crazy that it's so hidden.
I'll give you an example now. If the Jews have been speaking, or the children of Israel are speaking Arabic for the last 2,000 years,
French Christians too.
Then what language was Jesus Christ speaking? He came for his people. Please don't say he was speaking Russian or Chinese.
I do want to understand what Arabic is better, because I know that the script has changed. There's different ways it's spoken in different places.
No, when somebody says script, I'll give you an example. It's handwriting. So historians play games when they say handwriting. Just because we use Microsoft Word and Times New Roman or something, yeah, people have different handwritings. I myself can do five or 10 different handwritings. So now we've got a problem. So if the Jewish people are speaking Arabic for an estimated 2,000 years, what language was Jesus Christ speaking?
How close is the Arabic from?
What language would the Jewish Bible be in? What language should the Old Testament be in if the Jewish people were speaking Arabic?
If you go on Wikipedia, like Arabic, it'll say in the first sentence is a Semitic language. Okay, so how different is Arabic today from 1,000 years ago? Do you know when somebody's going to say
the word Semitic? It's same like saying, English is a European language. Greek is a European language. It goes on forever. Etruscan is a European language.
But how
Those
different?
things confuse people.
So how different is Arabic from? How much has Arabic changed in 1,000 years?
Today, when somebody says Arabic has changed, the thing is, do you know what? Unfortunately, yes, we can't find these documents to show that Arabic has changed. I'll show you this in a minute, and this is going to shock you.
Okay.
Now have a look at this. What I'm going to show you today is going to totally shock you. Now, this is from Wikipedia and many other places. You can check this out. The language Hebrew was not spoken at all until the 20th century. The 20th century means that only in the 1950s and 60s you could find people who spoke Hebrew fluently. The language basically did not exist.
And it's been created,
another thing is you can see here, what I've sent you here, I've just sent you now, is that Hebrew was not spoken at all for the last 2,000 years.
Eliezer ben Yehuda had to invent new words for modern Hebrew. Yeah, it's talking about a lot of the inventions of new words for
Now, I'm going to make this easy for you, because people don't understand what invent means. Arabic and Hebrew today have an estimated 60% the same words.
Grammar,
the first Hebrew dictionary was written after 1880 by a man named Ben Yehuda, and he was from Lithuania. Now, what did he do? He invented a lot of new words. So that's why there's 40% difference. Now, let's see what Ben Yehuda said himself. The man who invented the modern Hebrew language, he wrote the Hebrew dictionary. And let's see what he said. I've sent you a link here now. This is from Wikipedia and from Haaretz, a major national newspaper in Israel.
Wow, this is crazy. Okay.
Now, but wait till you hear what he said. Now, Ben Yehuda, he's the creator and the inventor of the modern Hebrew language. He was a humanist. People can check what humanists are. Now, this is what he said. He said that the roots saw the heart of the Arabic language were originally part of the Hebrew language. He said that these Arabic roots were mysteriously lost. Oh, how could they be lost if the Jews were speaking Arabic anyway? And then he said they were found again when he wrote the dictionary. And he found the roots of the Hebrew language within the Arabic language. Then they invented modern Hebrew. But let me go through this, because this is really serious. And then he turned around and says to create modern Hebrew language, he was able to do this by turning to the Arabic language. He said he did this because he followed the example of our, quote, ancient scholars. Who the hell are these ancient scholars? He said the ancient scholars, when they created Hebrew, they did it with Arabic. So he's even saying himself that Hebrew was originally created from Arabic.
Yeah,
and then he says he's following their example, and he's doing the same thing. And Hebrew was not a spoken language. Even then, it was spoken for the last 2,000 years by Jewish people. So, no, Arabic was spoken by the Jewish people.
Let's give the audience a second to read it. This is crazy. These are great quotes. So I'm seeing here.
So now what he says,
the Arabic roots of our.
Worse,
hold on, I just want to get it quoted for people. This is amazing. So this is the guy who is publicly accepted for writing Hebrew.
Let me finish the full sentences.
Okay.
Because I've just given you the screenshot from Google. I've actually opened up Haaretz. So now, Eliezer ben Yehuda and other researchers, they turned around and said that in the Hebrew Bible and in the Mishnah and in the Talmud, these religious books of modern Judaism, he said that these words, most of them have got Arabic roots, hundreds of Arabic roots. Basically, they're Arabic words. And he said to understand the Hebrew in the Old Testament, and the Talmud and the Mishnah, it was easy to understand it through the Arabic language. In simple words, he said the Arabic language made it easy to invent the modern Hebrew language. And many words found in the Bible, the Mishnah, and the Talmud were actually Arabic.
Okay.
And the Arabic was the language that Jews are speaking.
This is what it says, though. I want to give people, because this is irrefutable, and there's no one who can deny this. It's Eliezer ben Yehuda, the guy who's known for inventing modern Hebrew, publicly and acclaimed by Israel. He says the embryo of its Semitic sister Arabic shared the lesson in coexistence.
Yes.
The Arabic roots are, quote, ours. They're our roots. So the roots of Arabic were once part of the Hebrew language, lost. Now we have found them again. This is unbelievable. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah, he said, can you imagine right now if I create a new language and I call it the language of the planet Pluto, and I turn around and say, hey, the planet Pluto has lost its language for the last 2,000 years.
60% English.
But I've mysteriously found the language of the planet Pluto inside the English language.
I like your Snoop Dogg version, actually. I think that's pretty good. Snoop Dogg taking a language, 60% of it's pretty much English. That's about right. Whole new language.
Yes. So now, now I'll send you a photograph of Eliezer ben Yehuda, and on his desk he's got Arabic books, and he's just copying the words, changing the pronunciation.
What the heck?
And just using a new alphabet.
This is literally a photo of him doing it. That's crazy. And this is so Ben Yehuda is from Lithuania, and do we know, was he inspiring? Where's the other 40% coming from in Arabic?
But now we've got a serious problem, because the thing is, if the Jews were speaking Arabic for 2,000 years, why is the Bible written in Hebrew? Yes, because imagine if the English are speaking English, then why would English history be written in Chinese?
So are the Dead Sea Scrolls written in Arabic, or what do we got?
No, so they're saying that I'm talking about the Hebrew Bible. Let's focus on one thing.
Okay.
So imagine if you're Jewish for 2,000 years, you're speaking Arabic, you're writing all your books in Arabic, then of course your Torah is going to be in which language?
I saw some of this examples of the Torah being in Arabic Torahs all across Spain.
It will be in Arabic.
The earliest Torahs they have are in Arabic. That's what I was finding.
Yes, so if they're going to be in Arabic, so now we've got a serious problem. Yes, what are all these Hebrew books doing there? Do you really think that the Hebrew Bibles were actually used by the Jews for 2,000 years if they couldn't even speak this Hebrew language? And the Hebrew words are actually, in the Bible, are actually Arabic words. And now we've got another problem. During the Inquisitions were in Holland, in Germany, everywhere, 16th, 17th, 18th century, things like this, Spain. Yes. Do you know what they did? They burnt all the Jewish books, and the Jewish books were all written in Arabic.
And so they burnt all the Arabic books too, then.
Yeah, I've just sent it you right now. You can have a look from education website, Smithsonian, History.com.
Noble word. The burning of the books in 1480.
Yeah, their books were in Arabic, and their books were burnt.
God.
So now this means the original Hebrew Bibles were in Arabic and they were burnt. And then the people who burnt them was the Vatican. And the Vatican replaced it, yes, with Hebrew. And what is Hebrew? It's just a mixture of Arabic words. So the Old Testament is actually Hebrew. And now let me show you what's even worse. There's so much information. It's actually so crazy. The thing is to actually present it to people, for people to see it. Yeah, it would have been difficult. But today, I'm actually prepared. Yeah. So the thing is, we can divert to other subjects, but instead of diverting, this is like a gold mine. It's going to wake people up, because people are just sat there and they're dreaming and imagining things, thinking, hey, this is from God, or that's from God. So now all these Jewish books, religious books, are being burnt, and they're being replaced with modern Hebrew Bibles after the 15th century, 16th century. And believe it or not, that's when these Hebrew Bibles and Mishnahs and Talmuds were mysteriously published. And the Jews couldn't even speak this Hebrew language until the 20th century. Now, the majority spoke Arabic until the 18th century. A few spoke Yiddish here and there under the dialects. So now the thing is, Hebrew has mysteriously got all these Arabic words. But then they changed these Arabic words and gave them new meanings, and everything changed the meanings. So now they've changed the meanings, so that's even worse. So now another thing is, here is, you can have a look what the actual Bible is. Most people don't know. Now the Bible, actually, most of the words, whoever wrote the Bible, yes, actually wrote down all these Arabic words. Same like Eliezer ben Yehuda, who wrote a dictionary to compile the entire Hebrew language for that time, when they were creating the modern Hebrew language. So he basically went through almost all the words in the Hebrew Bible and the Mishnah and the Torah. Him and his committee. Yes, they went through all the words and they said these words are Arabic. But now the worst thing is, anybody who reads that, yeah, who's an expert in Arabic, will say this: whoever wrote this wrote it as if they had very bad knowledge of Arabic. That basically somebody, you could say, from China or Japan or South Korea, who studied English for a year, and then they're trying to write the Bible in Korean, translating it.
Wow.
Or trying to do something like that. So now we've got a problem. The thing is,
yeah, it's like Japan.
This Bible cannot be the book of the Jewish people.
All your Bibles belong to us. Yeah.
But now we've got a problem. If the Jewish people were speaking Arabic, yeah, Jesus Christ must have spoken Arabic. This is such a serious thing that many people have not considered.
Now, up to a
you
fashion.
think that's all? Okay, I thought that was all. So now imagine if there was a guy called Jesus Christ. If Jesus Christ really existed, and if he was Jewish,
or Yeshua,
yes,
whatever we call him.
And if he did speak Arabic, and if there was this kingdom of God, many people are saying there was a kingdom of God for 1,000 years. And if the European people followed Jesus Christ, and if Jesus Christ spoke Arabic, then do you know what we will find? This means that we should find Arabic writing all over Europe, everywhere. Okay, let's have a look. Now, the most common thing, the first thing that everybody's going to imagine or look for is, I'll ask you a simple question. Let's see how you will respond. If I am looking for Japanese coins, I'll give you 3 countries. Tell me which country I will find the most Japanese coins today. Am I going to find them in Zimbabwe, Argentina, or in Japan?
Maybe Japan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's obvious.
Okay, but if you were looking for the most dollars aren't in the United States, right?
Yeah. Before we change subjects, yeah, because we could get diverted. We normally do. Yeah. Imagine right now if I'm looking for, what do you call it? Let's say English pounds. Am I going to find, where will I find the most English pounds? 80%, let's say. Am I going to find them in Venezuela? Or am I going to find them in Malaysia or in England?
So the reason why that's complicated to say, just it's in England, is that outside of the country, people are using it as a stable currency. People use it outside of the country as a stable currency. So it can.
Right. I said 80%. I'm saying, where will you find 80%?
Okay, like digitally and stuff. Yes, probably domestically. I'll give you that. Okay. Yes.
Where is domestic? Is it in Venezuela?
The country? It's if the pound is from England, then it'll be probably around England.
Yeah,
in England.
This is where you will normally find it.
Yeah.
So now let's have a look at this. Now this is really shocking. Yes. Now the thing is, if you're looking for Arabic coins throughout history for the last 2,000 years, yeah, you're going to find where they found the majority of the coins. I've just sent it you examples. Yes, you're going to find that 80% of the Arabic coins have been found in Europe, not in the Middle East, not in India, not in Africa, not in Uzbekistan. And then when you find these coins, do you know what they tell you? they tell you that these coins came from Uzbekistan near Afghanistan. For example, I've just sent you the link that I've just sent you. It says 125 million
Wow.
dirhams, Arabic coins, were imported into Northern Europe just in the 10th century. Can you believe this? They're telling us that Europe basically imported all its currency. Some of it is basically Uzbekistan, Afghanistan. And they're telling us from Afghanistan and Uzbekistan, strange places, they're just telling us some ridiculous history. Same like they're saying, how did these Jewish people start speaking Arabic in Europe? They were speaking Arabic for 1,500 years. Do you know what the history they tell you? Oh, these guys came on their camels from Saudi Arabia all the way to Europe. Yes, and then they converted and brainwashed all the Jewish people to mysteriously speak Arabic. Now, I'm sending you an investigative study from Oxford University, and people can check this investigative study. It's very suspicious. So now, there's historians have got no answer. That the biggest currency in Europe, all over, France, England, Poland, Germany, Sweden, Norway, Italy, Spain, Switzerland, Austria, Greece, Bulgaria, you're just going to find Arabic coins. And then, you know what? So they turn around and say, hey, they were importing these coins. Now, on Oxford University does a study, and do you know what they say? For example, they found 1 million silver currency, yes, in Northern Europe. And do you know what they're saying? Yeah, these coins mysteriously came from Iraq, the deserts of Iraq or somewhere, and they mysteriously ended up in the Baltics and in England and places like that. And then they're saying, oh, they ended up here because the people in places like Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Iraq, Kuwait were buying European slaves or Germans. They were just buying Germans. They were sending all this gold and silver coins, all these coins that mysteriously say there is no God except Allah. Almost like the Europeans don't have none of their currency. And it's like the ridiculous story that they're saying. And then the thing is, they turn around and say the Germans were barbarians, the Vikings were barbarians. And then they turn around and say these people were barbarians, uneducated. They couldn't have their own currencies. So they said this is why these people, they were just using the Arabic coins from the other side of the world, which sounds ridiculous. Yes, and these coins, it's not like today's coins, they're actual gold and actual silver. And so they're telling us that these people in the Middle East, not even there, even worse, in Uzbekistan and places like that, were so rich they were exporting hundreds of millions of coins of gold and silver coins just to Europe. And the Europeans don't have their currency in many of these places. Can you believe this? Then, so now we've got a problem. So when we look at that, do you know the Jews are speaking Arabic? But nobody wants to answer this. If the Americans are speaking English, yeah, then Donald Trump obviously didn't speak Chinese. Yeah, if Jesus Christ came for the Jewish people, and the Jewish people are speaking Arabic, what will we find? Jesus Christ would have spoken Arabic. So if he was so big, and then his religious system was spread throughout Europe, original Christianity, then this means the coinage, the currency, would also be in Arabic in Europe.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm finding an article right now from the Smithsonian saying that they have proof of Scandinavians minting coins with Arabic, there is no God but Allah on it, in Northern Europe. And their excuse is they're saying it's a counterfeit, like they were just trying to make it look like Arabic coins, because that was the thing to do. Oh, it's a pretty bad excuse.
Can you imagine right now going into these villages in the 10th century? Yes, and these Viking barbarians with all this gold and silver. It's a scam, and then you'll find all these coins from the Middle Ages with the Star of David. I've just sent you the Star of David with Arabic on them, and you'll find these. Yeah, have a look at what these Arabic coins are, and we all know the fighting between Israel and the Palestinians and the Star of David.
Absolutely.
Well, here I've just sent you the Star of David. You'll find all these coins throughout the Middle Ages, and they've all got Arabic writing on. And they're supposed to be Jewish coins or Muslim coins, and it just doesn't make sense. There's no Hebrew on these coins. So and then one of the greatest masterpieces, yeah. So if the Jews were speaking Arabic, then this means King David, did he speak Latin or did he speak Hebrew? So now Arabic, the worst thing is. Okay, so now the worst thing is, I thought I'll have a look at this. This is a statue of King David. It's one of the biggest masterpieces. It's in the Museo Nacional del what's it called, in Florencia in Italy. And I've sent you a statue. It's actually one of the greatest masterpieces in history. And do you know what the strangest thing is? This statue of King David, one of the greatest masterpieces in the world, yeah, has mysteriously got Arabic writing on it.
No.
And it's
Where?
from the Middle Ages.
What the
I've
heck?
just sent it you. Yes, and these Stars of Davids from the Middle Ages, they've got Arabic writings on them.
Where's the
on
Arabic
coins.
writing on the David? I don't see the Arabic yet.
I've just sent it you. I've sent you the latest picture.
Oh my God, this is not on the shield plating, like the Vikings and stuff with the Arabic writing.
So
my
now
God.
the thing is, now many people are not aware of it. Let's have a look at the Renaissance time. After they started expelling Jews and Arabs and Muslims, and they were killing them and burning them in inquisitions and blah blah blah. Yes, before that we've got one of the greatest masterpieces of the Middle Ages and the Renaissance is the painting I've just sent you. And they say it's by Gentile de Fabriano. Yes, and he's from 1423. That they will say he spoke Italian. We can't find these Italian languages. Yeah, it's just a fraud. Yes, and this picture is called The Adoration of the Magi, or The Birth of Jesus Christ. It's one of the greatest masterpieces in history. People can check it.
Wow.
And do you know what the worst thing is? Yeah, check some of these great masterpieces. Yeah, they've got Arabic written on it. So now we've got a problem. If it's got Arabic on it, yeah?
In the halo? Oh man.
Yes.
There's
yes.
a halo with Arabic
now
on. Oh, and then is this Mary and Joseph with Arabic halos? Are they suggesting that they're Arabs? And there's dudes with turbans. There's turbans in this.
It's not about Arabs. It's like this. You can be Chinese but speak American. So now the thing is, Arabic was the global language. So now a serious question is, if the Jews are speaking Arabic, and if the Virgin Mary was a Jew, what language did she speak? She must have spoken what 90% of the Jews were speaking.
Well, is that their native language, or is it the melting pot language, right? So
the thing is, when we speak English, we will say Arabic. Yes, but let's pretend we're Middle Eastern people. And I think they say something like, I've learnt a bit of Arabic. If they will ask somebody, do you speak Arabic? They'll say, Kalamia Arabia. It sounds like Rabbi. Yeah, do you speak the Arabi or Rabbi language? And that's why the word is called Rabbi, means somebody who's educated. Yes? Rabbi means somebody who's educated who could read and write. And the language of the Rabbi is Arabi.
It makes sense.
And another thing people don't understand. Yeah? Muhammad, Jesus Christ, and Moses were cousins. They were from the same family. So if they're from the same family and the Jews are speaking Arabic for thousands of years, what else can we say? Okay, now if they followed Jesus Christ, and if Jesus Christ if he spoke Arabic, let's try and find the original Christians. Like you mentioned the Basque province before, and Catalonia, and the Catars, southern France, people speak about it, chat, things like that. The Catars got killed, the Knights Templar got killed, etc. So now the Cathars were based around Toulouse city. So now I'm sending you a picture of the Bishop of Toulouse.
There's a glitch there. Could you repeat that?
The Bishop of Toulouse. Toulouse city is where the Cathars were based. Yes, Cathars and the Knights Templar were linked to them, and they got burnt and they got dealt with by the Vatican. Yes, the Vatican didn't like it because they said that they refused to follow the Vatican. But anyway, these people, I've just sent you a painting of the Bishop of Toulouse, and he's got Arabic writing on his head.
It's again with that gold pressed metal look. I mean, about the halo. So it's saying a lot. It's like they're technologically advanced. It's interesting.
Have you received the latest picture?
Right, yeah.
Of the Bishop of Toulouse? It shows the Arabic writing.
Right.
Yes. So we've got all these problems. And now the biggest Gothic... We don't know what the history of Gothic cathedrals are. Now, the worst thing is, if we look at the biggest Gothic cathedral in the world, is known as Seville Cathedral. But now the worst thing is, Seville Cathedral, when you try to find out its history, yes, it's very suspicious. They tell you it was a mosque and it was taken over. This is all we know. So it's very suspicious. Yes, it is totally suspicious. It doesn't make sense.
Why doesn't it? Why you think it's not a mosque, or you say it was a mosque that was taken over? That doesn't make sense.
No, what I mean is, it's because in these cathedrals, many of these cathedrals, they found Arabic coins and they found Arabic writing in a lot of cathedrals. It just doesn't make sense. And they found these skulls and bones from the 17th, 18th century. Now, everyone knows that the Crusades, the Crusaders were from Germany and France and from England, mainly from Germany and France. So now let's have a look at it. During the Crusades, Europe was, they say, the Holy Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Empire, they say, Charlemagne and then Charles Martel and things like that. I've sent you a painting of to show who they are You must have heard of the Holy Roman Empire.
The Holy Roman
Now,
Empire was neither holy nor Roman nor an empire, but that's okay.
Yes. Yeah. But the thing is, most people don't have a look. Now, here is the coronation clothes of the Holy Roman Emperor. The Holy Roman Empire only dissolved in the 18th century. But around the 14th, 15th century or 16th century, something happened to it. But have a look at it. We've got the coronation clothes of the Holy Roman Emperor, and he's got Arabic writing on there as well.
This is great.
The coins in Europe are Arabic as well. The books were in Arabic until the Vatican burned them. What the hell is going on?
But they couldn't get rid of the cool cape. He wanted to wear that, so he has Arabic on his cape still. He couldn't get rid of that. That's hilarious.
No, can you imagine? Let me send you a picture of George Bush. Yeah, it's many people I noticed this question. Yeah, can you imagine if you saw George Bush or Donald Trump, yeah, wearing the Nazi swastika on their arm and things like that, and they can't help it?
Yeah, it's a crazy idea to see the Christians wearing the Arabic thing after the Crusades.
There's many Arabic words on the clothes of the Holy Roman Emperors, of the Christian Crusader emperors, which doesn't make sense.
They're Crusaders who hate the Arabs but wear Arab stuff.
Why didn't they write Latin? Why didn't they write Hebrew? Why didn't they write Greek? So this means the history of these languages is a lie. So now it's even worse, because now after the Crusaders in the 14th, 15th century, what we've got is Venice was great. They told us after the Crusades, Venice was fighting the Muslims in the Mediterranean. So now the strange thing is, it was in Canada next door to you, Royal Ontario Museum. They've got lots of swords from the Navy of Venice, yes, and German soldiers. The Navy of Venice had German soldiers. And what's strange is that these German soldiers wrote their names or other things. They wrote them down in Arabic and not Italian, not Latin, not German. I've sent you an example.
Okay,
what do you think is going on here?
Was this the Italian and German swords with Arabic lettering? 1999, about a dozen of Italian and German swords of the 13th and 14th century were exhibited in the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto, Canada. 2 of them can be seen in Figure 3. Okay. And one cannot help but noticing the Italian and German swords are decorated with Arabic lettering. Okay, so in another example, the Germans using Arabic swords.
I've just sent you 1 or 2, but now it gets even worse. So
this is crazy. It's hand etched. This is hand etched into the metal.
Yeah. So now I've shown you Northern Europe. There's all these Arabic coins which we can't explain. They're telling us crazy stories, saying, "Oh, they were selling slaves. They were selling Germans. Oh, they were doing this. Oh, they were saying they were copying it. Oh, it was just a decoration." We're talking
no way.
Of millions
that picture right there looks like a soldier carved. There is no God but Allah into their own sword before they went into battle. That's what that looks like.
So now the worst thing. So now I've gone to, and Spain was officially Muslim, and it took longer to kill the Muslims or get rid of them there. That's why we still know about that history. Yeah. So now the thing is, let's talk about Eastern Europe. What about the Russians and the Slavs, Ukraine, etc.? We've been told that these Russians or Ruski, yes, that they were Christians too, followers of Jesus Christ. So now if Jesus Christ spoke Arabic and the Jews were speaking Arabic, then we're going to find lots of Arabic writing all over Russia. Now here is the helmets of an example. I'll send you one, but you can find many. An example of the helmets of the princes and the kings of Russia. What do you see there? This is of the Tsar, Ivan the Terrible, all these others, Alexander Nevsky, Alexei Roman. What do you see? Arabic.
The cap of Erechon, the Arabic crown of Tsar Alexei Mikhailovich. There's no way that's not Arabic. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, now I'm sending you the most common currency in Russia until the 17th, 18th century. Yes, this was the common currency of Russia during the Middle Ages. Yes, it's just got Arabic on it, and it says La ilaha illallah.
But what's their excuse for
there
this?
Is no God except
how do they dismiss this? If this is clearly what they're using, what's the deal?
Yes, it's because nobody's checking.
But why?
The worst thing in Europe and America, Andreas, you're doing all these shows. You're checking all these things online. People just check something, they're not going to open up the originals.
Wow.
Then, the world is lazy, so it's their fault the world is a mess. And if anyone's going to say that the globalists are taking over the world and they're going to do their antichrist system, so be it. It serves the world right. Maybe the people deserve it.
If they're not paying attention.
It's because the people did nothing about it. They're not checking. Okay, let's go to England now and to Ireland. This is one of the oldest Carolingian. It's a Carolingian cross from the 9th century. It was found in Ballacotton in Ireland. And now inside that cross, We don't know what the symbol of the cross is. Inside it's got Arabic writing written on it, which says, "In the name of Allah." Yes. So we're going to find these things all over Europe, and it doesn't make sense. Masterpieces for statues of King David and things like that. And the worst thing is, if the Americans are speaking English, can you imagine if Donald Trump comes along and says, "你好吗? 我可以说，我不可以说英国，我在中国，我不是中国人，知道吗？你明白我吗？今天你们还好吧?" Imagine if Donald Trump was doing that. Now the thing is, it's if anybody wants to dispute it, they can go and check it. They can check it again and again and again. Yes, throughout up until the 18th century, 90% of Jewish people, we're talking in Brazil, Mexico, India, Iran, Russia, Spain, France, Italy, Greece, Turkey, wherever, 90% of the Jewish people around the world are speaking Arabic.
This calls into question also this
cross. 2,000 years.
Is this cross then, is it an Arabic symbol using a crucifix that for some other meaning, or do they have a different story? Or are they the Masorabs or something?
Now many people will assume that is a crucifix. So now if we go into the crucifix, then we'll be totally changing subjects.
Fair enough.
The thing is, many people don't know that the thing is, imagine if we spoke about Kufic Arabic before. So now imagine, because you've asked, I'll quickly go through a bit of basic of this, but it won't be good if we go past this other subject, because It's very important to realize what language Jesus Christ spoke, or we will never, ever understand history. Never. And we must realize, hey, what the hell is going on? The currency of the United States is the dollar. The currency of Europe was Arabic. We've got a problem for about 1,000 years.
So Wikipedia will call this the Masorabs, which they say are the Arabized Europeans.
When you say Masoretes, yeah, we'll go on to that in a minute, because when people, it's like, for example, when people say the word direct, they don't realize it comes from the word Masor. Now, the word Masor in modern Hebrew, they made it from Arabic. Yes, they will say Mizraim. Yes, Mizraim or Misr or Masor actually just means ancient Egypt. Yes, the dialect of ancient Egypt, Masor, the ancient Egypt. Yes, so that's a totally different story. We could be totally lost and distracted. So now, what I'm going to send you now is, here is a picture from around the 1350s, this Arabic writing. It's Kufic, and this is from Spain, Seville city. Now, the thing is, on there, it's got some Arabic there. I've forgotten what it says, but have a look at that Arabic carefully. Can you see it?
Right, yeah, the digital-looking QR code like Kufic.
So now in the digital format,
Cubic.
What many people don't know, in the Kufic format, this will surprise you. Yes, this is the symbol for Allah in one of the main digital formats. Have you got a hold of it, and what does that look like to you?
Absolutely, very similar. You've got the same pattern.
Actually,
similar to Gestalt.
I've sent you another picture at the bottom. What can you see?
Oh, there's a cross in a sort of
W.
So
now the thing is, even let's say that God existed before the crucifixion. So what the thing is, Arabic existed before, yes, even before Jesus Christ or before the Jews were speaking it. So now we've got a problem. When you see the symbol for Allah, there's 3 points, and now have a look at the crucifixion here. Yes, most paintings of the crucifixion, what do you see? One cross is taller.
Right.
Yes, and there's 2 of the crosses. What can you see?
It's
the symbol for Allah.
Wow.
3, and that's where they got the idea for the Trinity. 3 points. And now at the top, why there is a cross at the top? It looks like a cross. It's because it's not a cross. It's because that's to show the symbol of Allah in that style of writing. It was just a design. So what happened is these people took advantage of it. Yes, the people who wrote these Hebrew Bibles. And at first, people are going to turn around and say, what is David talking about here? I'll make this a bit simple now. Half the world, up to half the world, the media will deny it. But if you travel around the world, maybe more than half the world, do not believe the official story, what the newspapers and politicians have said about September the 11th. That's a fact. Now, maybe in the future people will believe it. It's because they're going to school and they're just being told this is the official story. These 2 airplanes hit it, and it was people from the deserts of the Middle East. That's what they're told. But we know that our generation that's still alive, more than half the world genuinely does not believe it. They don't believe it at all. So now the thing is, the official story of the crucifixion is written in the official documents of the Vatican. They are the official people. Yes. They're the official people. And they wrote their Bibles of the New Testaments in Greek. Yes. And then they wrote it in Greek, and then Jesus Christ is supposedly saying Eli Lama instead of Allah, Allah Lama. Now, the Alpha and the Omega spells the word Alpha and Omega. When you put them together, it writes the word Allah. Yes, let me send examples. Many people don't know this. Do you know about the Alpha and Omega? It writes down the word Allah. Do you know this, or you don't know?
I don't know.
I'll send you.
To show me. You mean in
Right,
Greek?
I'll
The way that the Greek looks Arabic when it's put together?
I'm sending you the information to make it simple. It's more to do with the mathematics. Now, I've sent you the book of Isaiah and Revelation. It turns around and says God is the first and the last. The first number is 1, the last number is 9, then you go back to 0. So God is number 1 and number 9. God is the Alpha and the Omega. God is the beginning and the end. So this is what they simply say. And then we've got the Roman Empire. They wrote the Alpha and the Omega. They wrote it down in 2 different versions. Now, in one of the, I'll go through the first version first, the main version. Here is the Alpha and the Omega, and it's common. People have seen this all over the world. Yeah, I've sent you a picture of it. Have you received it? On how the Romans did
the
it?
The Chiros with the Alpha and the Omega in the Kairos.
Yes. Yes. So now anybody can open up Wikipedia or anywhere, and they can have a look at the standard design for the Alpha and the Omega and just compare it to the standard Arabic alphabet writing for the word symbol for Allah.
Whoa.
What do you see?
There you go. It's kind of like a W looking thing, and it's, yeah.
It's exactly the same, just different handwritings.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, and because it says the Alpha and the Omega is God, is the symbol of God. Yes, the Romans are using it, and the Muslims are using it. And the Romans, yes, and the Holy Romans, all we can find is Arabic coins. We can't even find this Italian language until 100 years ago. So it means they're telling us lies about this history. We've got serious problems there.
Wow.
Yes? So, and then and they're telling us Jesus Christ spoke Hebrew or Aramaic. We can't seem to find Jewish people if they ever spoke Hebrew. And then, the church that's giving out the Hebrew Bibles burnt all the Arabic ones the Jews were using. Can you imagine I come to the United States and pretend I'm called Mr. China? I come and burn all the books, and then I replace them all with my books, and they are all written in Chinese. Can you imagine this?
It's a crazy thing. Their holy books, the Torah, to burn their Torahs and replace them it's a pretty serious thing.
But so now these Old Testaments that we've got, how can we believe them? How can we believe a single thing that they've got? So now let me send it you in case somebody thinks, David drew that himself with his handwriting. They can stop any of these. There's lots of Muslims throughout the world. They can stop them and say, is that the symbol for Allah? And I've just sent you a copy from Wikipedia. I've opened it up. Cursive means people's handwritings. Yes? And the people's handwritings for Allah is exactly the same. And now I'm sending you from the Church of Galla Placidia in Italy, and you'll see the Alpha and Omega. It's a common. Now, the word for Alpha and Omega, when you pronounce it, is Allah. So now, when you put down the word Alpha and together Al-Om, you get Allahum, Allahum. And that's why in the Hebrew Bible or in the Old Testament they say the name of God is Elah. They say it's not Allah, they pronounce it with the letter E, but we know that God is the Alpha. God is not the Alpha or the elephant. And then that's why they say Elohim, Al and Om. And that's why the Muslims say Allahum. Yes, they're the only people in the world who use these symbols today who are actually using that name. So the thing is, what else can you say? And then when I gave you the cubic writing to show you the symbol of Allah, why it looks like a cross at the top, I've sent you a picture now, and that will explain to you and show you why it actually looks like a cross. Because somebody is going to imagine, some people may possibly imagine that, hey, it's got something to do with the cross. No, it's actually the designs for another symbol.
So that's the Alpha and the Omega.
Yeah, and this symbol was there before the crucifixion.
Wow.
So now we can see the crucifixion, the Trinity, the three, it's all based on this symbol for Allah, or the Alpha and the Omega. So now all these people who have been cursing these people in the Middle East and cursing them, saying the word Allah, all the evidence shows that these prophets of God, if they are really connected to God, they use that language. We cannot find any evidence that Jesus Christ spoke Chinese or French or Latin or Greek or Hebrew or Aramaic. Aramaic is not even a language. We can't seem to find any of this evidence. And then if Jesus Christ was so great, yes, we found all these coins, millions of them throughout Europe. Yeah, and the millions in circulation we found, hundreds of millions for many centuries that just say there is no God but Allah. France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Austria, Switzerland, Croatia, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, Ukraine, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia. What is everyone going to say? What about these kings of Russia? They've told us the Russians were crazy, going around killing Muslims, that they had their Cyrillic or Kyrillic writing. But the evidence shows that these guys are using Arabic themselves.
As if they were to take it. So there were some people that stole the stuff eventually, but it sounds like whatever they stole was from there.
If we say that the crowns were stolen, yeah, historians have said many different theories. They've even said, oh, these crowns were gifts. Oh, it was an accident. Oh, they didn't know. Yeah. What about the millions of Arabic coins that say there is no God but Allah? Moscow, Petersburg, Nizhny Novgorod. Yes.
Yeah, and it's interesting how mathematical it is on the Omega.
Do you know what it's like saying? It's like me coming to the United States and saying, hey, I found all these books here, they're all in English. Yeah? Oh, no, this is not enough evidence that in America they spoke English. No, in America they spoke Chinese. And you'll say, but there's all these English books there. I'll say, maybe they were all presents. And then Andreas will say, but David, we've got all these millions of coins here. Yes? This is more evidence. I'll say, maybe the people did decorations or it was a mistake. And then you say, David, and we've got, we've got all these swords here and everything else. Okay, now I'm going to show you some other things, and it's even worse. The history of Europe, it's actually even worse. That they're clearly telling lies. It's just so scary what they're telling us, because there's just too much evidence that there's something wrong. Yes? Now, let's go to Russia's two main museums where they've got thousands of coins, swords, thousands of things, yes, relics for their history, for their country. Yes, let's look at the Kremlin Museum and Alexandrovskaya Museum. Yes, and the Kolomenskoye complex. Now, this is from the words of Professor Anatoly Fomenko, who is from Moscow State University, the #1 university in Russia. And do you know what he's quoted here? He said, in the museum, we can't find anything that doesn't seem to have Arabic writing. All these Middle Ages, medieval swords, everything. Basically everything has got Arabic writing. Nothing with Latin, Greek, Hebrew, Slavic, nothing. Come on. Andrea,
could it be that they're very, it says the Slavic inscriptions are nothing but, could it be that there are very few such pieces we found amidst the, quote, Russo-Arabic majority? Okay, there you go.
Yes. The thing is, they've all got Arabic. Now, it's not just one or two crowns of the princes. Here's the helmet of Alexander Nevsky. Alexander Nevsky, he was very famous. He's still so famous throughout Eastern Europe today. This church called Alexander Nevsky, a beautiful one in Bulgaria. Have a look at his helmet. You can clearly see Arabic on them. So we got these problems, and nobody seems to be talking about it. Yeah, all these swords, and it's like when people walk into the Kremlin museums and all these things, they won't realize it. You've got to have a look very carefully. Like, for example, you'll see all these things and you'll think medieval knights in shining armor. Yeah, but nobody would ever imagine, oh my God, they've got Arabic on them. Nobody seems to think these things. So we got a problem. Where does Russia fit in this history? Okay, never mind the Russian kings. What about the kings of the Holy Roman Emperor? They've got Arabic writing on. What about their coins? Yes.
I was going to say, it's interesting also because we were looking at the idea that the Holy Roman Empire is inspired by this Christianity out of a Jewish mystic from Jerusalem. And Moscow has this whole story about being one of the 13 tribes going through the Ukraine from Jerusalem. But you're even saying that the Israelis, or the Hebrews rather, they're speaking Arabic. So what's the truth about Jerusalem? Like, what are they speaking? And what leads to this?
Okay. So now you're going to a totally different subject.
It's too deep? Okay.
You've mentioned Jerusalem. Let's make this really interesting. Yes?
I hope so.
Let's make this really interesting. So now the thing is, it is well known that let's start with the biggest city In Europe, it's called Istanbul. Istanbul was the biggest city in the world for the last 2,000 years. New York beat it a few times, but generally in the last 2,000 years, Istanbul has been the biggest city in
It
Europe.
was Constantinople. Mehmed II considered himself the
Oh yeah,
Caesar of
when you say
Rome.
Constantinople, yes, I will give you an example now. What do you call it? Yes, I'll give you an example.
And it's a port.
Most people, most people call it Russia. And a few people in the past called it Soviet Union, but hardly anybody actually said the full words, Union of the Soviet Socialist Republics of Russia. Or yes,
I mean,
So hardly anybody-
about Istanbul, isn't Istanbul Turkey? So was it part of?
about the Soviet Union.
Oh, I see.
So what I'm trying to say is that first let's go to Istanbul, and this information is really important. Where is it going to be?
Bosphorus.
Now the thing is, many people won't believe it, but in Istanbul, the major language there was Arabic until the 20th century.
Not
Find
Turkish?
this information. yeah, which is surprising. I couldn't believe this myself. Yeah.
I guess the Ottomans would have probably wanted Turkish to be suppressed as they could speak Arabic. I could see that being logical. That makes sense.
Wait, it's when you say suppressed,
If there
we
are
need
Turks
evidence.
speaking, yeah, okay, fair enough.
We need evidence that the Turkish language existed at that time. Same with
Wow.
many people. Can you imagine? You can say to me, what do you call it? That the Vatican probably wanted Italian to be suppressed because they wanted the Latin language.
Turkish
But
is
there's
held
no
language. There's nothing like it. It's such a strange, different language. We did a
Awesome.
map. We did a map at one point and showed that Istanbul would have been the perfect place to go through if you were going in between, like from Ukraine, Crimea, or from Africa, from the Horn.
Yeah.
It's all through
Yes.
Istanbul.
Yeah, as you've noticed, Andreas, I'm somebody I don't like to guess things or base anything or have any judgments on. To think
On
let's have
intuition
it
without
on
data.
theory.
Right.
Yes, because if we have theories, we are never going to know the truth. Why we are alive, why we die, or what's going on. Yeah,
Well,
and
just
these sort of risks,
objectively, geographically, there's a nexus point in Istanbul because you can take a boat from Istanbul to north or south very far.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Now, you asked me about the Turkish language, and that's why I said, hey, we will not guess if the Ottomans suppressed the Turkish language. Yes? Now, I've sent you information that you can check. This is from, I think it's from Pennsylvania, one of the universities there. The Ottoman Turkish language, yes, words, basically it was 80% Persian and Arabic. Now, when somebody says Persian, the Persian language, yes, before the year 1900 was 80% Arabic anyway, yes? And the Turkish language was 80% Arabic and Persian. So basically it was Arabic. And they were using Arabic letters. So now the thing is, mysteriously, they changed this. Yes, they changed the Turkish language, they changed the Arabic language in Turkey, and they removed it in the 20th century. But the thing is, let's focus on the facts, that the language was basically Arabic, yes, in Turkey. So now in Istanbul, so it's not about, it does say people can go and check it more, but the language was Arabic. Now, when I say Arabic, yes, I'll give you an example. When you say Snoop Dogg speaks English, yeah, he's got his own type of language, rap language. Oh, in Texas they speak English, yes, that's English. Oh, they speak English in Australia, yes, that's English, but it's their dialect, their pronunciation, etc. Somebody else could say it's a totally different language. Yes, but it's actually English. So now the thing is, it was Turkish Arabic, like you could say there was Judeo-Arabic, you could say there's Moroccan Arabic, Egyptian Arabic. Yes, yeah, those are going into the minor details. This thing is so exciting because the thing is, Jesus Christ, where did he live? Yes?
Right.
Now the thing is, where did he live? Because this is going to shock you too. Yes, because you could, especially in the Balkans, because the Balkans, Yugoslavia, one thing that survived in Yugoslavia, especially in Serbia and many other places, many people still remember Jerusalem of Jesus Christ. And they say something about this city that you will find strange. Now, I'm going to show you this. So now in Istanbul, the language was Arabic. Yes, the coins in Europe are basically Arabic. Yes. So now in Istanbul, let's have a look at this, and you can read this out, and you will find this very strange. You could just do a simple search in Yahoo, and let me just show you this. That during the Middle Ages, yes, there is New York City in America. Yes, will you call New York City the second New York, or are you going to call it the Western New York? No. It's in the West, but it's New York. There is a York in England, but you're not going to call it the second. Yes? Yes?
York
So
2.0.
historians will try and confuse you. But check this out. I've sent you a link. You can read this about Jerusalem. Where
Pilgrimage in
was
the Byzantine
the
Empire.
Jerusalem of Jesus Christ?
Constantinople, known as the New Jerusalem. St. Simeon the Stylite, Jerusalem, namely Constantinople. The biblical Jerusalem is identified with medieval Constantinople. Constantinople, Jerusalem, the expected place of the second coming. Okay.
Expected? Yes. And what were people doing at that time?
This is exactly how it was described by medieval pilgrims that were journeying
Pilgrimage.
to
Pilgrimage.
Constantinople.
People are going there
Right.
because this is the place where Jesus Christ. They're expecting him to come here.
Oh, their own Mecca
Yes.
in Turkey. All right.
And wait, how long is the Middle Ages? 1,000 years. Wait a minute, they're waiting for Jesus Christ to come to Istanbul, and Istanbul was known as Jerusalem. It was never called Constantinople. That's a scam as well. You'll
Huh.
soon find out. Yes. So now we've got a problem. This is why, yes, people are sat there, they're believing these Greek Gospels. Jesus Christ didn't speak Greek. Yeah? Christ must have spoken the language that all his people were speaking. And they were speaking Arabic. And Istanbul, this is why it was important that I showed you. Istanbul, the language was Arabic. And Jesus Christ, if people were going through during the Middle Ages, it sounds crazy at first. Yes? During the Middle Ages for 1,000 years, Istanbul, to the people of Europe, was called Jerusalem. I've sent you from Yahoo search. Have you found it? Constantinople.
Right. History, Constantinople was
What was it?
perceived as a holy city, the second Jerusalem. Though it keeps saying second, like New York, you were saying. The expected place of the second coming. This is exactly how it was described by the medieval pilgrims who moved in this city from one shrine to another as in a spatial icon whose sacred meaning was much more important than its architectural and archaeological realities. Okay, so then if they're saying the second coming is happening here and this is the new Jerusalem, are they saying that there's an older Jerusalem somewhere else, and why are they not there?
Historians just saying new. So historians are going to say, Jesus Christ spoke Hebrew or Aramaic. Yeah, when historians say something, normally you find it to be a lie. So now we've got a serious problem. Yes, we've got a serious problem. Istanbul was called Jerusalem for 1,000 years. That even people, because in the Balkans, they weren't as modernized as in Western Europe, for the last 100 years. So many people in the Balkans still remember this. Yes, we got this problem. Many people, and not only that, what's even worse, what's even worse about this Jerusalem thing, let me just show you. You will find this very strange. Yes, the Crusades happened 1,000 years after Jesus Christ died. Yes, can you imagine that? Imagine 1,000 years after Adolf Hitler is dead, people start the Second World War 1,000 years later. That would sound stupid. So now Jesus Christ has just died, and 1,000 years later, the people start crusades. And they're all going to Jerusalem to go to the crusades. But the thing is, because the church wrote the history, we can find many lies. But in some of the documents, we found out that these crusades, especially the fourth one, went to Jerusalem, and Jerusalem was Constantinople. Have you received the new page that I've sent you?
Yeah, Fourth Crusade. 1095 to 1216. Wow.
The target ended up being in Jerusalem, in Constantinople. Have you seen it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and
I'm
why
also
was
seeing.
it 1,000 years?
I'm seeing
Why
on.
was it 1,000?
Sorry, I was gonna say I was seeing on Kiora is also confirming the number of people saying yes that they were modeling themselves on being Jerusalem. Some people called themselves Jerusalemites entirely. This idea, the New Jerusalem targeted Constantinople. This is all the war. This is the religious war between Christians and Muslims.
Jerusalem. Nobody called it New Jerusalem.
Oh, they're saying that they call themselves Jerusalemites. So they wouldn't call themselves
I'll give you
Nova
an example.
Jerusalem.
Imagine right now, if you went to Turkey, the Turkish people today in Constantinople or Istanbul, they don't call it America. They say America. The Americans don't call it America. The Americans call it America. Yes. So the people of Europe, the Germans, the French, the Russians, they didn't call it the new or second Jerusalem.
Right.
Yes, they called it Jerusalem. They said this
straight.
is the city that Jesus Christ lived, he died, and he's coming back here. This is Jerusalem to them.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
Now, historians can turn around and say, this is the old one, this is the new one. I don't care what historians say. Yeah, it's the historians 1,000 years later are going to say this, yes. Why should we care what a historian's going to say? We should care what the people said.
Right. This is what they believe then.
Yeah, historians can turn around and call it America in Turkey. But the people called it inside America, they call it America. Yes? You understand?
Yeah.
In Mexico, they call it Estados Unidos. Historians 1,000 years later can say what they want. I don't care what Mexican historians say. And say Estados Unidos. You understand? It's because the people in America called it America. Yes. So now the people of Europe, they called it Jerusalem. Yes, this was Jerusalem. They're even going to crusades to go and fight there. Yes. So now this is even worse. They're going to go to crusades and they're burning this city down. And when they go on crusades, do you know what they were doing on these crusades?
Burning books? I wonder.
They were burning Bibles.
Yeah, okay.
And they went 1,000 years later. Do you know what's so strange? People can check the history of the crusades out. What is so strange is that they were burning all these Greek Gospels. Yes, they walked into Constantinople. So if these are Germans, the English, the French, the Dutch, the Austrians, the Swiss, the Italians, they're going on the crusades. These people, some of them Knights Templar, whoever, Teutonic Knights, whatever, they're going on crusades. They arrive in Constantinople, the greatest Christian city in the world, the biggest city in the world. What are they doing? They're burning Bibles. Now, this is very strange, yes, that they're burning Bibles and burning churches. Yes?
Just a total cover-up. Try to get rid of all the history they can and put in a new
So now the
history.
thing is, if this is the people of Europe, they're burning Bibles, why would they burn Bibles and books?
If they're trying to get rid of the history and change it with a new Bible.
Are they trying to get rid of history? Or why did they go burn the churches? So is the truth, they've told us that the Crusades was a war against the Muslims. What if it's the other way around? What if the Crusades was the people of Europe fighting the churches and fighting the Gospels? Because September the 11th was one of the biggest things in the world. And half the world, more than half the world, said it's a lie. Same like coronavirus was one of the biggest things in the world. And more than half the world said this is a lie and it's a scam. But do you know what? The books, the official books, the gospel of coronavirus in 1,000 years' time is going to say there was a virus and millions and billions of people died. Yeah, the gospel of September the 11th, after 1,000 years, is going to say, yes, these airplanes hit the towers. So now, in the same way, the people didn't believe the official story, saying that Jesus Christ was crucified. They didn't believe it. They went out there to get revenge. At first they heard, I'll tell you why this story doesn't make sense. The Crusades lasted for 400 or 500 years, and they're mysteriously targeting Constantinople. And Constantinople is known as Jerusalem. Yes, and Jerusalem is where the original major church was. They called it Orthodox. The Vatican only became powerful after the Middle Ages, during and after. So now I've just sent it you. I've sent you a link. You could check it. That they went there. They're burning all these books, Bibles, whatever, and burning the churches down. The Knights of and they totally destroyed it. Yes,
Library of Constantinople destroyed by the Knights of the Fourth Crusade.
And now the Crusades mysteriously ended. Yeah, they ended around the time when a new Caesar came, and this Caesar was called Sultan Mehmet, and he stormed Constantinople. Was this a crusade?
Interesting. Wow. And that makes sense because we were looking at Mehmet recently, and it's amazing. It shows how history they were completely ignoring his existence, and it's impossible to ignore.
Yeah, and do you know what the worst thing is about the invasion of these crusades? They last for 500 years. Now imagine if Jesus Christ has been crucified, the people who killed him, they'll do a crusade, you've got your revenge, it's over. But the people of Europe are going crazy for the next 400 or 500 years, and they keep on going back. And they're telling us that they're telling us the Knights Templar are from northern France and from Germany. But at the same time, they're telling us these people are called Alemannia, or the men of Allah, Alaman, and these people are barbarians at the same time, but they are the Knights Templar. How can they be barbarians who were burning the churches? Yeah, if you study the Aleman, they'll turn around and say these people were killing churches, etc.
Wow.
Alemans. And then they're called Alemans. These are the Germans. And those Ale.
Yeah.
And Alaman. And Allah, it means all or everything. It's got the exact meaning in Arabic. God. All or everything. All encompassing. Alemans.
Well, Ali is also the son-in-law and companion of the Prophet
Not
Muhammad,
Ali,
right?
Allah. Allah,
Well,
man. The Allah man, yeah. I'll have to send it you.
no, for sure. I know it's especially in Spanish and everything. That's still how they're
Yeah.
referred to as the
Yeah, the
Alaman.
strange thing is, why were they called this name? Yes?
Either because of
Yeah.
Allah or because of Ali, the cousin of Muhammad. One or the other.
Oh, the word Ali is the name of a person. We're talking about a tribe or a group of people. Now the thing is, the Alaman or the Alaman, they were going around burning churches. Yes? So this is strange. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they were fighting these churches. So it just doesn't make sense. They were fighting the Roman Empire when the Roman Empire was Christian Roman. So it just doesn't make sense unless if we put two and two together of the Crusades. And the Crusader Knights had this cross on. Yes, and the thing is, now that I've mentioned Istanbul, we could get diverted saying, oh, Allah probably means Ali or
The reason I think it's interesting is because when we think of Muhammad, there's a very big difference between his rule and his cousins. When Ali comes in, Shia and Sharia Shia Islam still kind of consider the authoritarianism from Ali. So it makes sense if that was an authoritarian split
Now the
off.
thing is, and we won't focus on what do you call it? Yes, Jerusalem and Constantinople.
We should get
The
back.
thing
You're
is,
right.
if you're going to talk about Ali and Sharia law,
It's fascinating
like,
though what you're saying
you
about
know,
Alaman because nobody says that.
that's
It's
why I've
amazing.
given you another link so that people will know that they're going into the totally wrong path. Like, for example, Judaism has got Shahita law, or instead of Sharia, it's a similar word. Hebrew came from Arabic, not the other way around, and it's to do with the laws for eating and food and how to slaughter animals. Yeah, so
Wow.
it's going to go a bit too far, and then talking about people's cousins and whatever. Sultan Mehmet or the Prophet Muhammad, how many Muhammads? Let's focus
Yeah,
on
well,
Jerusalem.
another day. Oh, well,
Now let me send you what people don't notice is this. Now up to about, if we look at medieval, yeah, medieval or Renaissance is the end of the medieval Renaissance. Crucifixion paintings. Yeah, there's paintings inside churches, on their walls, and things like that throughout Europe. Yes? Yeah? So now the thing is, you'll find hundreds of paintings throughout Europe, yes? Of the crucifixion. Yes? The crucifixion paintings.
right. The
I've sent you an
three
example.
crucifixes in the lodge.
A Google search. People could do a Google search. Have you received that Google search?
I just see the Shashita part still. I haven't got anything past that. Oh wait, here
No, no.
it's coming up.
Let's not
now.
get distracted to it.
It's coming up now. Yeah, so the thousands of pictures of the
Yes.
Muhammad
So now
Allah
here
name.
is an example. Here is an example. This is an example of a Renaissance painting of the crucifixion by Antonello de Messina. Yes, and what do you see in the background? Look carefully at that picture. You will see the two waterways. The first waterway is the Golden Horn in Istanbul, with the walls near the Golden Horn, and beyond that is the Bosphorus.
There it is. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and that's what you will see in half the paintings of these famous paintings, and they're not in one place because people went. Can you imagine right now in America? Many people, yes, they've been to New York. They've been from Los Angeles to New York, then they go back home, holiday. They've been from Seattle to New York, then they go back home. They've been from Dallas and Houston to New York, then they go back home. They've been from Florida, Miami, Tampa, and all these places to New York, then they go back home. They go from Chicago, then they go back home. Yes. So now, during the Middle Ages, everywhere in Europe, from France, from Germany, from Spain, from Italy, everywhere, people were going to Constantinople, Jerusalem. They were going there because they went there because they were waiting for Jesus Christ to come back. He's going to come to this city. Yes, and the crucifixion happened in Jerusalem. So now let's look at all these paintings and let's see what Jerusalem actually looks like. And what do we see? Now, here
The
is
Bosphorus.
and we could talk about Sharia law or Shahita law.
But yeah, this is big.
Yes, in Judaism. Or let's get to the exciting things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you asked about Constantinople. I'm sending you many paintings so that you could go through them. Here is a painting by Gerard David, and this one's from Holland.
Wow.
In the around the 15th
That's
century.
definitely
And do you
cool.
know
If the
Constantinople
Bosphorus
was
is at
speaking Arabic?
Jerusalem, that's crazy. The
Now
Bosphorus
here,
Jerusalem.
do you know what you could see there? What you can see in that painting, you can actually see, yes, from the 14th, 15th, 16th century, you can actually see the Hagia Sophia, which is a bit darker in color, and you can see the Sultan Ahmed Mosque. I sent you a new picture. Have a look at the new one, the Sultan Ahmed, that looks white and brand new.
Right.
And you can actually see Galata Tower, and Galata Tower for the Galatians. Have you received the new picture?
Yeah. I was just looking at the Galata Tower the other day because it has that rotary. It's amazing. That's exactly, and it's in the crucifixion picture. There's no question. That's it. Jerusalem in Turkey.
Yes. Yeah,
Amazing.
yes. Let me send you many paintings. There's hundreds. There's so many that
wow.
actually it's almost like you can't deny it. It's so worrying. It's like it's worrying. Now here is a picture from Belgium. Let's go from, I've shown you Italy, I've shown you Holland. Now, in case somebody says, hey, people made a mistake, they guessed. Yeah. Now, here is a picture from Belgium by Jules van Cleef. This is a 15th century Renaissance. And look carefully at this painting and what you see. You will see a waterway, and you will see the defenses of the walls of Jerusalem.
The Moorish style,
and you know, when you look at the walls of Jerusalem, let's compare it to modern Istanbul, and let's see, is there any historical artifacts there? And what do you see in the next picture?
Yep, there's the same Moorish style, the ascending wall, the same kind of octagonal castles.
It's basically exactly the same, because the wall today is damaged.
Right,
yes?
There you go.
Yes,
yeah, that's
so it's an exact match with the waterway, the waterway that's going through the Bosphorus. Yes, and it's an exact match.
At the Rumeli Hisari.
And Jerusalem is not. Yes, and Jerusalem is not beside the sea or the two waterways.
I could dismiss this if it weren't for the fact that if this was just people in Turkey drawing pictures of Jesus, and so they use their own surrounding. But this isn't that.
They're all over Europe.
These are people all over Europe.
Places.
This is everywhere. This is crazy.
Yes. So that's the problem. So now Professor Anatoly Fomenko pointed this out. Yeah. Now here is another painting I've just shown you, and you can have a look through this.
Oh
man,
carefully. Yeah.
This is from the 15th century, and you can actually see the ships going through in the Bosphorus. I've sent you an enlargement. Yeah. This is by Andrea Solario, not Andrea Solario, and they say it's about 1503, something around then. So
this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to see. I was saying, hey, Turkey, there's this crossing. You found the Bosphorus behind Christ with actual ships going by it. David,
and it's not just one waterway. The Bosphorus has two waterways, Golden Horn, and you can actually find two. I've just sent you another painting, and this one is by Pietro Perugino. These are all in different places.
Jeez.
And you can actually see big ships sailing
these are ship of the line style ships too, which tells you what time period they're saying. This is clearly around.
So as you can see, we've got a serious problem. Yes, we've got a serious problem.
This is Jesus Christ in Turkey 1,000 years ago, not 2,000.
Yes, and now the thing is in Istanbul. Yes, all we can find I can send you hundreds of paintings. Let me just send you many so that you can upload them on the video.
So is this kind of like the Book of Mormon? Are they saying, hey, let's modernize it? Like he's with us now. How do we know this is... How come everyone's saying it, though? I don't know. This is a lot. This is a lot to digest.
But now we've got a problem. Yes, we found that the language and the coins and things like that are Arabic.
You just sent me like 100 pictures of the Turkey with Christ in front of it. This is crazy. This is amazing.
Yeah, and you can just see the Bosphorus. It's totally insane.
What is happening?
Yes, I really don't know what to say.
You can say it. Jesus is from Turkey. Jesus is from Istanbul. That's pretty clear. That's what we're looking at. Or at least they crucified him. They crucified him there. It looks like he's crucified there.
Now the thing is, he went there. And now another strange thing is people don't check what the word Jerusalem means. Jerusalem in modern Hebrew, how you want to pronounce it, because they created the pronunciation only recently, is Jerusalem. In Arabic, it's Darussalam. Now that's two words, Dar Usalam. So many people are saying Jerusalem is in Utah, Jerusalem is in Scotland, Jerusalem is in Germany, Jerusalem is in Barcelona, Jerusalem is in India. Now we've got a problem. All these people who are saying Jerusalem is in Scotland, Edinburgh, okay, let's see what they're going to say. The word Jerusalem is two words. It means the word Jer or Dar means city in Hebrew, Aramaic, or Arabic. Choose whichever one you want. Yeah, the first word means city, Dar, and the next word means peace.
Salam.
Not salam or shalom, usalam. It's two words, Dar and usalam. And now we have a religion today in the world that's mysteriously called usalam or isalam. So was Islam created by the Prophet Muhammad, or was it created from before? Because this is what the Muslims say. They say the Prophet Muhammad was the final leader of Islam. Maybe in the Middle East they say Islam today, but in these dialects they said it was called Islam. So now people are saying Edinburgh was the city of Jerusalem or Jerusalem. So they're saying it was the city of Islam. If it was the city of Islam, okay, now all you people who are saying these things, and then you found all these Arabic coins all over Europe, what do you have to say now? Yeah, these Muslims have been saying for centuries, have been saying, hey, Islam is older than the Prophet Muhammad, and it was the religion of Jesus Christ. And this is why many people said their city was called the city of Islam, because Islam or Islam was the system. Yes.
Islam. That's the new thing.
Yes.
It's the old thing.
Jerusalem. Yes, Jerusalem. Jerusalem. It's yes. It means city of peace. So Islam means the religion of peace. Islam. So now we've got these problems, and we've got these problems. Jesus Christ. What language did he speak? All the Jewish people have been speaking Arabic for centuries. We can't even find a Hebrew language. Nobody even spoke it. Then they burnt all the Jewish people's Arabic books that Jesus Christ left behind. And then, hey, people are going on crusades. They're burning all these Gospels in Istanbul or in Constantinople. They're burning all these books over there. And Jesus Christ was crucified there. Or if Jesus Christ was crucified in Constantinople, it means the priests who killed him, because the history says that the people who were the priests, okay, they call them Pharisees, Sadducees, blah, blah, blah. They turn around and say that the priests, yes, killed Jesus Christ. Yes, they sentenced him to death. Yes, this is what it says in the Bible. So now, let me send you this information, because this information is totally shocking. Because many people don't seem to think for a few minutes. Yeah. Now, even in the New Testament, even with all its modifications, yeah, it turns out and says that Jesus Christ was sent before basically the Parliament, the Pharisees, and he was sent before the Sanhedrin. This is where the high priest is. And this is where they've got the Pharisees. The Pharisees are the priests, and the scribes, and the people who are the writers. Yes? And then it says that the Sadducees are there, and they're the rich guys, all the families of the priests, etc., and everything, the businessmen. Yes? Yes, so Jesus Christ was sent before the ruling people of Jerusalem, or the ruling people of Constantinople. Yes? Have you got that?
So what do the Pharisees mean? Yeah, I'm seeing this. So it says the Pharisees were the forerunners of the rabbis.
Yeah, it's like saying today, I could say, hey, it's the Democrats and the Republicans and the House of Congress, etc.
Okay, so the Sadducees they were a powerful group. Okay.
Yeah, it's the ruling governing body of Jerusalem, of Istanbul. So now it's basically these people, the priests and the ruling families.
Gotcha.
And the people in power.
Because to be a priest, your father would have to have been a priest, and to be a high Sadducee, your father would have to be a high Sadducee.
Yes,
okay.
It's the people in power in Constantinople.
Okay.
So now you can see why the Crusades went to Constantinople. And it wasn't just the priests, it was the scribes, the people who were writing these religious books. They sentenced Jesus Christ to death, and they said, Jesus Christ must die. And then they announced, these priests, yeah, as I've sent you photographs, in Constantinople, it was the Orthodox Church, the priests, etc. They announced, we've killed Jesus Christ. Christ is dead. You no longer will need to follow the old law of Moses. You must follow the new law, the New Testament. Now we are going to build the new world order. This was the beginning of the new world order. Do you see what this is? Now my book explains this deeper. I'm giving basic information here. The full information's in my book called Jesus Christ, Skull and Bones, and the Last Crusade. Yes? Now some people will say, hey, I don't understand this information. It's not enough. Yeah, if you want to say these things and if you're going to say these comments, read everything before you comment. Okay? Yes. Now the thing is, what people don't know is, let's have a look at what they called Constantinople. They called Constantinople the Byzantine Empire. Yes.
Yeah. So what's up with that?
Yes. So now we've got a problem with this Byzantine Empire. Really? Okay. Now this is because nobody ever checks. Same like they're going to say Istanbul is the second Jerusalem or the Eastern Jerusalem. Now let's look at, did the Byzantine Empire even exist? Now this is very shocking. Yes. Now have a look. Here, look at these historians. They can't make their mind up. 1 minute they called Istanbul the second Jerusalem. Now they're calling it the second Rome or the Eastern Rome.
Right.
I'm just sending you. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, you see, they'll put these things to make people ridiculous and crazy. Then they'll say the city was called Byzantium.
I like this one you pulled up. It says the term Byzantine was invented by German historian Hieronymus Wolff in 1557. So that's pretty.
That's
now pretty telling, because that means Mehmet.
Name,
Mehmet was the Caesar at this time, so maybe it's kind of like a fake government because they're like, we're ignoring the real Mehmet Caesar.
Yes. So now we've got now when people read this, they're not imagining it. Now, can you imagine this now? Who was this Hieronymus Wolff guy? He made up the name. Can you imagine now? I can change history books. In 1,000 years' time, I can turn around and say, it was called the United States of China. And Washington, D.C. was the capital of the United States of China. I could change the name. So he created a new name called Byzantine. Yes? And nobody used that word until 200 years ago.
Yeah, then it says it's not even popularized until the 18th century by French scholars. So,
yes.
Yeah, whatever.
And why did they do that? Yeah, why did they do that? Yes? Now, this is the strange thing. Now the thing is, yes, let's have a look at this carefully. Yes, the Renaissance mysteriously started at the same time that the Caesar called Sultan Mehmet or Mohammed, yes, or the Last Crusade, took over Istanbul and they got rid of the church. Yes, and at that time, mysteriously about 100 Greek manuscripts of the Bible, yes, the Crusaders were burning these Greek manuscripts. Yes. They're burning the churches. Yes. It's because the church said Christ is dead. If they believed the official story, then they won't burn these Gospels. They were burning these Gospels because they didn't believe it. Same like the protesters, burning September the 11th official story. We don't believe it. Same like the protesters were burning masks. They didn't believe coronavirus existed. There were so many protests. You could find all the videos on YouTube. People refusing to wear masks because they refused to believe the official story. So the truth is, for centuries, people had crusades because they came back to fight the church because they didn't believe. And the crusades mysteriously ended. When did they end? When this Caesar Mohammed, yes, invaded with the Russians and the Germans and all these other people. Yes, they turned around and said, because they've changed the history and said he kidnapped children from the Balkans, from Germanic and Russians and Slavs, and he forced them into his army. Yes? But the truth is, it was actually the people fighting against the church. Now, the worst thing is, they're turning around and saying it's called Byzantium. But actually, it wasn't called Byzantium. This empire was actually called the Roman Empire. Can you imagine if I changed the name of, if I turn around and say the name of America was called China and I changed names? I can't do that. They've just changed the names. Now, the strange thing is, people can check this themselves. Now, the people in power, yes, now, this is why I sent you a photograph of the Vatican and before. Now, the people who were the priests of the churches, yes, who claimed that they just killed Jesus Christ, yes, and they wrote these Gospels, the Crusaders were killing them, and they were burning all these churches. Now, when Constantinople was taken by the Caesar Mohammed, yes, do you know what happened? Those people ran away with their Gospels, and they ran to Italy. Yes, and they ran to Rome around the 14th, 15th century.
Refugees, okay.
This is why they set up the Vatican. The history of the Orthodox Church is alive.
So it's the Turkish Taiwan. What is this then? So the Vatican is an escape from the power of...
From Constantinople, yes.
Wow.
And they're pretending that we're Catholic and they were Orthodox.
And that they're the most important... And everywhere else isn't as important as them, that they're the only ones who have the say on things. That makes a lot more sense. They're upset.
Yes. So now they're upset. So what are they going to do? They're going to make plans for a new world order. Yes. And so you can't understand the new world order without studying this on Muhammad, believe it or not. So now the thing is, what's even worse is, so these people call themselves the Roman Empire. Now the strange thing is, what most people don't know is, what do you call it? Yes, let me send you the thing is, mysteriously, when these people ran away from Constantinople and they arrived in Italy and they went to Rome, look at what they suddenly did in Rome. The Renaissance started, and look at what they teach you. I've sent you a link from Cambridge University, the first link. Mysteriously, they've rediscovered the civilization of ancient Greece and ancient Rome.
So they had some world fairs, basically, and they were like,
But
"Look at
wait a
this
minute.
lost culture that we need to
It's
reestablish."
like, can you imagine right now? I'm going to turn around and say, I've just rediscovered the ancient history of the planet Pluto that's been lost for 1,000 years. The people of America, yes, they came from the planet Pluto. Can you imagine if I mysteriously start saying this? Yeah,
It works at
maybe
Disneyland.
people. Yeah. So now the thing is, they're saying what happened is they said that the history of ancient Rome and ancient Greece was lost for 1,000 years until,
Whoops.
yes, these people got defeated in Constantinople, the city of Jesus Christ, and then they had to go to Rome. But I'm telling you, it sounds like such a joke.
And
Yes.
luckily, it was just buried. Right? It was just buried and it was in perfect condition, and that's how they were able to just find it.
What was buried?
I'm just saying,
What
like,
was
what is
buried?
what is this? Yeah, this is a ridiculous narrative.
Yeah, and as you said, they spoke Etruscan there, and Etruscan, yeah, it was actually Latin backwards. Yes.
Yeah, and so in other words, from left to versus right to left,
yeah, and the Etruscans
like Arabic.
called themselves the Rashi people. Yes, and it sounded like Slavic. So now the worst thing is, yeah, many people don't know this. Yes, let me show you now the Crusades. They tell you the story of the Crusades. They tell you where the people were fighting Arabs on camels. Yes. Now let me show you this, and this is going to shock people. Let me show you this. Now this, yeah, many people don't know this because the history has been. They don't teach you this because they don't bother. Now here is a photograph of Stalingrad. I think it's World War One or two. Yes, you'll find many of these pictures. There's hundreds of them online. Yeah, many people. This will actually shock you as well. Yes. Now, because in the modern day, Europe's modern now, so people don't bother to use horses anymore. Now, here is a picture of the Battle of Stalingrad. And what do you see in this picture, Andreas? This will make you actually start laughing. What do you see?
Camels in the Battle of Stalingrad. Okay.
Yes, camels were common in Northern Europe, Germany, Poland, Russia. They were using them in World War II. Hundreds of them, thousands.
My God.
Can you believe this? And so now the thing is, so these camels that they were fighting, people with camels were fighting in the Crusades, were actually Russians and Germans. Now, another thing is, what they don't tell you is this. Now, this is the most scariest thing. Yes? What people don't tell you is that the Russians are using Arabic, the Germans are using Arabic, the Slavs are using Arabic. You can't even find any swords that even have any Greek, Latin, or Hebrew. Now, the strange thing is, during the Crusades, the Slavs called anybody, yes, if you're from Croatia, Serbia, Slovenia, before the Catholic Church got there, the people used to call each other and they used to ask and say, "Are you an Arabi?" If you was an Arab, it meant you were a servant of God. It had nothing to do with the word race. And this is why eventually in Eastern Europe, especially the Ashkenazim Jews, they started using the word Arabi, means the word rabbi. The word meaning changed over time. I've sent you that from the Jewish Virtual Library, Israel Bible Center, and people can check it out. And anybody, you can check Slavic dictionaries. The word Arabi, Rabbi, simply meant a servant of God. And they used the language Arabi, yes, on their swords in Europe, the Slavs. So we got these problems. So the history is not what we think it is. Yes?
Wow.
Is this very shocking to you now?
It makes, the thing is, there's so many things that tie it together, right? Like
so in the Crusades,
Scotland,
when they were fighting the Arabs on camels, they were fighting the servants of God.
The name
Germans and Slavs.
The name Campbell in Scotland is from camel, and in Croatian, you've got Bosnia-Herzegovina, you have Muslims, and so this actually, the weird thing is it just makes way more sense than the narrative does to explain why the world is the way it is today. So it's amazing.
So all this information you've got, so that's why I'm sorry I didn't answer several questions because I didn't want to divert. So now
we'll
we've
get
got
back
a problem.
sometime.
Yeah. So now we've got a serious problem. Yes. Arabic was not just that. Let me show you something else. What's even worse? Everybody knows this. Most professors know this. That you can check it out. The international language of communication. Let's say between France, Germany, England, Russia, India, Egypt, Greece. The international language for 1,000 years during the Middle Ages was not Latin. It was actually Arabic. I've sent you links. People can check this out. It's known this, that Arabic was the international global language. Arabic was the language for the Jews for 1,000 years. Can you imagine this?
See, Arabic was the international language of communication of the Middle Ages.
Arabic was the currency of Europe for 1,000 years in gold and silver. We're not talking about the modern coins that we just make in machines. This is actual gold, and we're talking about millions of coins here. Arabic was on the swords of Europe. It's in the books. Yes, and the thing is, we can't find the people who spoke French, who spoke Italian. We can't even find the German language a few centuries ago. And we can't even find the Hebrew language. Now, the worst thing is, let's say, for example, there's going to be all these people who are going to say, we've got the Welsh language is closely related to the language of Brittany in France and of Catalonia and the Basque province, and it's got many Hebrew words and they sound similar. So I've just sent you that. This is common news that people speak about it. But
right,
let me ask you a question.
Welsh
yes?
to Hebrew.
How can the Welsh language, like for example, the word good morning is in the American language, it's in the English language, it's in the Australian language, yes? So when people are saying these words are in Hebrew, and Hebrew took the words from Arabic, it means that these words are Arabic words. So now all these people who have found that the Welsh language is linked to Hebrew, or the German language is linked to Hebrew, or the English language,
I've unknowingly found that it's linked to Arabic.
It's actually Arabic because nobody spoke Hebrew at all throughout the centuries. And then we've got a problem. We can't find the people who were speaking French or German or Italian or Turkish or anything else. And then we've got a problem. Jesus Christ came here and they're trying to force it down your throat saying he spoke Hebrew. How the hell could he have spoken Hebrew when his people were speaking Arabic? And then we've got the Star of David, all these coins during the Middle Ages in the Star of David, yeah, and they're all in Arabic. And they're going to say, oh, they came from the desert far away. And then they're telling us, oh, Spain, half of France and half of Italy were speaking Arabic during the Middle Ages. They'll say, oh, these men from the deserts of Arabia. Can you imagine them coming up today from the deserts of Arabia trying to invade Europe? Get real, on their camels? Or from the deserts of Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, sending hundreds of millions of coins in gold and silver? It just sounds ridiculous. Yes? And then 80% of the coins that are found in large amounts are actually found in Europe. And they're telling us it's not European.
It's crazy.
I rest my case.
It's crazy.
I rest my case. Yeah.
Now, I mean, there's plenty of evidence to corroborate that. I was just going to say also...
it's in my new book, The Last Crusade. And it's in my other books, because The Last Crusade is actually a part of a series of books. It's in my book, Jesus Christ, and it's in the book, The Last Crusade. Yeah, I'll send you links to that. So the thing is, now, we've got these serious problems, Andreas. The thing is, can you imagine? I come to the United States, and then I tell everybody, no, this was the United States of China. And then people say, hey, what about these dollars that are over here? I'll say, oh, no, they were imported from Australia. And then you say, but there was hundreds and millions of them. The majority of them were over here. I'll say, but still, they were imported. And then you say, they don't have no Chinese writing on. They've all got English writing on. I'll say, no, the people spoke Chinese in the United States of China. You'll know I'm lying. The evidence is there. And then imagine you say, we found all these guns. The American army went to Vietnam. They went to Iraq. It's got English writing on. I'll say, it was decoration. Oh, they borrowed the guns. They borrowed the guns. Yes, it was the United States of China. And then you'll say, what about these older presidents? Donald Trump, George Bush, JFK. Yeah, we've just found paintings and everything. He's got English writing on. I'll say, that's a mistake. And people did it for art reasons, blah, blah, blah. And it's supposed to be Chinese. What are you going to say to me? You're going to know I'm lying. Shall I show you what official historians say? Why there is Arabic on Old Testament characters before the church leaders came from Constantinople. Read this, what official historians say in the Wikipedia. They turn around and say that these painters and people, they wanted to express cultural universality in the Middle Ages. At the time, the people were doing crusades saying, hey, we've just found an Arab, kill him. Convert right now or you're going to die. And they're telling us, oh, these people did this for cultural universality or diversity. Can you believe this? Oh, if the coins are here, oh, the people didn't know. Let me show you what they said about in England that they found Arabic coins. You're going to think it sounds like a joke.
There's a lot of
Now,
Americans with
yeah,
Japanese tattoos. I wouldn't be surprised if some Italians liked Arabic. But no, this would be kind
but
of
we're
weird if
not
it's the
talking about
only
millions.
language, right? It's the only
We're not
language they have
talking
in the
about
painting.
millions.
Yeah.
Right, what we are going to find Japanese money in America. We are going to find Chinese money in America, but the majority we're going to find are dollars. Yes. So now the thing is, have a look at this. Here is from England, a coin. It's got Arabic on it. And do you know what? Do you know what?
About King
Yeah.
Opa.
Do you know what the museums say and historians? You're going to find this so shocking. I think it says the same thing. What it says in every European country. Yeah, the same thing. What it says on the Russian coins. Look at Russia, the other side of Europe. It says La ilaha illallah Muhammad. No, La ilaha illallah. There is only one God. Now there is no God but Allah. Now the thing is, if you go to official historians, they'll say it's a mistake, and they made the mistakes because the Arabic is upside down compared to the Latin on the other side. They're telling us that ancient Rome and Latin was missing for 1,000 years until the 16th century. And then they're telling us that even in Italy, the people didn't even know how to speak Italian. And then the Italians were writing the writing backwards, which is exactly the same like Arabic. Arabic is actually, realistically, it's Latin backwards. Most people, anybody who investigates it will actually find that. And they're telling us this and that, saying it's a mistake, the people didn't know, oh, it's just decoration. Oh, but these people, they hated Islam so much. They hated Arabic so much. They hated these people. The Muslims are the terrorists, man. The killers. They were killing the people on pilgrims. We're not going to have anything to do with them. Oh, let's put it on paintings. Oh, this Arabic, let's put it on our swords. Oh, let's put there is no God but Allah on the coins. Let's put it on the emperors, the princes on their crowns. Let's put it on the gowns and the clothes of the Germanic emperors, etc.
There's a lot of crescent moons and stars on symbols in Ireland, I'm finding as well. There's definitely some connections there.
Yes. So the thing is, many people have realized that World War One and Two and many of these other wars were actually created to actually destroy the evidence. Yes. And the Civil War, yeah, that was created to destroy the evidence in the United States. I rest my case. Yes.
My God.
I rest my case.
My
I'm sure
God,
you've got
David.
enough there.
We're gonna have
Enough there to
to
think
we're gonna have
about.
to digest this. It's gonna take a minute to just go through this, and I can't even believe the data that we're just a whirlwind
Yeah,
today.
even do you think it's easy for me? I have to live knowing all these things. Yeah, it's not easy for me. Now I know that somebody is going to say, "Hey, this isn't enough. One painting, two painting, one masterpiece." Okay, if they're lazy, go out there and check it yourself, Buster. Or the information's in my books, or if not in mine, in the books of Professor Anatoly Fomenko. He's even pointed these things out, and many other researchers have. Yeah, please don't make a judgment halfway. Yes, study it all, and then you'll find the same history. They're telling us these bishops of France, etc., they mysteriously had Arabic on. Oh, the Bible was in Hebrew. Really? Yeah, but we burnt all the Jewish Bibles. Yeah, we burnt them in Inquisitions for a few hundred years. But Hebrew is the original language. Really? How many Jews spoke Hebrew? Nobody until the 20th century. Sorry. But we're telling you the Bibles were originally in Hebrew. But nobody spoke that language. Oh, Hebrew? Sorry, all the words are Arabic, actually. Shh, don't tell anybody. We've just changed the style of the handwriting, given it a new alphabet. We've changed the pronunciation, added new words, and totally created a new language. Nobody's going to figure it out. Apart from people who study it, no one's going to know this. The world's lazy. People believed in the Gospels. They believed in the official history of the Twin Towers. They believed coronavirus. Yes. In the same way, they believe the crucifixion now, because they're believing the official story. But then we've got the Muslims on the other side of the world, and you open up their Quran. The Quran tells you all this and says, hey, go out there, you're going to find this evidence. Go out there, you'll know that they're telling lies. These people, they told lies. And they're doing this because they've got their plans and their plots, because they want to dominate the world. And if you look at it, you'll find that the New World Order, all the contracts were signed. Let me show you this before we go, because it's shocking that around the time that these official Greek New Testaments came out, yeah, they made all these contracts, yes, and they made all these contracts to divide the world, to form the New World Order, the New Testament, blah, blah, blah. Yes? And the thing is, wherever the church went, yeah, the church had its slavery blah, blah, blah. And many people don't know, after this Sultan Mehmet, what he did after he invaded Istanbul, there were big revolutions throughout Europe. Like 1683 invasion, yes, the Vatican was turning around and saying that people were dying from plagues, blah, blah, blah. But here it is, then people can check it out, that around the time when this Caesar Mohammed, yes, took over, they made plans for the New World Order. And the New World Order was done especially after the invasion of Istanbul.
And King Ferdinand and Queen Isabel's request for the New World Order, the old world order gave way to a new world order. Okay, so this is the old.
Yeah. But when they say gave way, let me show you another thing. You can actually find documents from 300-400 years ago of the Vatican and the ruling people that came to Western Europe. And some of them were in Western Europe already, that they ran away, that they made plans to divide the world between them. Yes, colonial empires. Wait, let me just find it. Yes, to make the New World Empire and how they made nation states. But all this information is in my books anyway, that they made these plans to divide the world between them. Let me see, where is it? Ah, yes, I found it. You could, Wikipedia, just type in colonial empire, read through it. And they started making their agreements immediately after the fall of Constantinople. They say it was 1453. It took them another 25 years to settle down in Italy, to conquer Rome, get rid of the Etruscans, blah, blah, blah. Then they were making contracts. And they say this was competition with the Muslims. No, it wasn't competition. Yeah, it wasn't even Muslims, because when you look at some of these paintings of the invasion of Constantinople, the Knights Templar with their crosses, and other people, and Russians and Germans and Poles, yes, that they were in Caesar Mohammed's army, yes, and they were called Romans, yeah, they weren't called Byzantine. So these people ran away to Rome, and then they pretended and said, we're the original Romans, we are ancient Rome. Then they created the fake history of ancient Rome. That's another long story. Ancient Rome didn't exist. Half these buildings, they made them themselves and forged the coins. Hard to believe. So they made these contracts, and then they went round with the Bible, the Vatican and the French armies, the British armies. They went round with Christianity. It doesn't matter if they were Protestant, Catholic, whatever, Orthodox. This is what they did. They went out there and they took the New Testament to build the new world order, or the new system. And when they did that, mysteriously, Europe became 90% a land of serfs, peasants, and slaves. Yes, and they're telling us the beautiful history of Christianity. Yes, the beautiful history of Christianity. Let me just show you the beautiful history of Christianity is this. That it's actually shocking. Yes, let me show you that in Europe, yes, that during the medieval and Renaissance times, everywhere where the church ruled, it doesn't matter if the church is Protestant or Catholic or whatever, 80 to 90% of the people were serfs or slaves. Simple.
Yeah.
And they're telling us this is the beautiful culture of Christianity and the church. Look at what the church did. This is why people joined the Caesar called Sultan Mohammed. Yes, and after he did that, it was a revolution. And the church lost its capital. Constantinople was the greatest city of the world. It was Jerusalem, the city of Jesus Christ. So when they lost that city, they had to run to a small village. Rome only had, in the 15th century, yes, Rome's population was only about a village of 10,000 people. Yes, in the countryside, yeah. And they went there and they had to start again. Too damn they were angry. They must have been so angry. Yes, that's why the Inquisitions happened,
yeah.
Blah, 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 everything. And they were burning all the books. They created these new languages, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, ancient Hebrew, blah, blah, blah. Yes.
Wow.
Let's leave it at that, Andreas, and the rest is in my books.
So I think we're on the precipice of some major thing here, because we're getting to the point where we see how the collapse of Tartaria and the revision of history and whatever the cultures are created
now, Tartaria,
from, it's all happening now.
Tartaria, the word tat just means father. Tartaria means fatherland. So some people call it Tartaria, some people call it Kingdom of God, the 1,000 years of the Middle Ages, or some people call it the Kingdom of Israel, King David, King Solomon. Yeah, they've got Maravi coins.
It's all coming around the Crusades. It seems like the Crusades. And then this is also
the
for
Crusades,
next time.
The Crusades?
Yeah.
Everyone says it was the church fighting against
It's the
Muslims.
Worldwide Civil War, it sounds like, if you have people rising
It's the
up.
other way round. It's
Right.
the people who were fighting the people in power.
Yeah.
Because they had enough of the lies, the crucifixions,
Wow.
a fictional story, forcing everybody to be a slave. Yeah, they made 80-90% of the people were peasants, dogs. Yeah, you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, you're a slave. And then mysteriously, after the Turks, yes, invaded Europe, they took over. When they say Turks, it wasn't just Turks. It was the people of Europe joined them. And that's why the invasions of Vienna happened and other things. They got rid of these people. Then when these people got rid of, they've started a new plan. And now they've still not taken control. They want control again like last time, a new world order. And when the people were going to Constantinople, they were going from church to church. It was like Disneyland. They were paying for tickets to heaven. This is what the church was doing. It was actually church law. You cannot go to heaven without, yes, this is the sort of garbage they made up. Whereas the Quran itself says that anybody who does good things is going to get their reward with God, and they've got nothing to fear when they die. Anyone who does good things. Now, it does say in the Quran that if you do bad things and you reject the truth when you find it, yes, yeah, and you're going to follow lies, yeah, then obviously if you're a liar and a cheater and you're oppressing people...
Then God could turn you into a gorilla or a pig, I remember, is one of the things that the Quran says.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that story has been reversed. Don't forget, we're living in the modern world today. They're telling you, Andreas, that your great-granddaddy was a monkey and he turned into a man. Yeah, what type of a monkey was your granddad, Andreas? My granddad wasn't a monkey. I don't believe these people, these historians and scientists.
Right.
If you believe them, then you have to ask yourself what type of a monkey your granddad was. And obviously, if you don't believe them, then your great-grandfather was a gentleman.
Yeah,
Yes.
or at least a bonobo. Okay, but next time we're gonna have to cover all this. We're talking about the Crusades.
Subjects. Yeah, that's right.
And we'll get into the Alawites. It's okay. I want to, because the Alawites seem interesting. We're talking about the Alumans and this idea of the more militant version of Islam that becomes Islam. Now we're getting to this idea of what happened to Islam. Why is there a violent strain? Why does the Alawite have the sword as their symbol? And that's all good stuff to find out.
The violent people in Islam, they're called jihadis. And this is why they made the drama or the comics and the movies called Star Wars, The Knights of Jedi. They were good people that became bad. Because that's why if you go and check all these guns in the Middle East of these Muslim crazy guys, they get their guns from America. They're financed by America and Russia. Everyone knows this. So they were originally good a few centuries ago. So the story of Star Wars is even based on the story. And Sith is Satan. These are long stories. Yeah. Let's leave it at that for today.
David, it's amazing. Thanks so much for being here.
Hey, everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarian. Recent Tartarian.